Hey, you guys, it's your girl, Jamilah Lawry from My Biz Consulting, CEO of My Biz Consulting, here with another episode of 10 Minutes of Talk. And today we are here to present somebody that's awesome that we found online, of course. Of course, I do my research, you guys know, so I'm super excited to interview another CEO like myself here. Guys, we are busy people. We don't get to talk to you guys often, but this is the CEO, CaTyra Polland of Love for Words. Okay, I'm going to let her do her own introduction. I'm going to bring her on the screen in a few seconds here. There we go. CaTyra, welcome to 10 Minutes of Talk. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for being here. So I know you're a busy woman. So, first, quick, fast, in a hurry, we're going to answer 10 questions. Okay, I have 10 for you. I usually say nine. But
Mhm.
first, tell us who you are and let's get into it. Let's get into the business.
For sure. Thanks again for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is CaTyra Polland. I am from Rochester, New York, and I'm the CEO and founder of Love for Words, which is an editing and copywriting business. So I work with authors to help them edit their manuscripts to make sure they make sense, they sound good, they resonate with the target audience. And I also work with businesses and organizations to help them with proofreading materials like manuals, helping them with their web copy, reviewing reports and things like that. So I'm very much involved in literacy and reading and writing. I'm a published author myself. I am the founder of National Black Authors Day, which was actually on May 4th. So this was year 3. So excited about that. And also a poet. I'm a speaker. I recently did a workshop at the American Copy Editor Society conference over in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. So that was fun. I
Nice.
talked about cultural editing, why it's important, what it is, and why it's important to pay attention to content and be sensitive about what you're reading, especially if you're not part of the group that is being discussed in the works that you're
Wow.
editing or reviewing. So that's a little bit about me. I'm a cat mom,
Nice.
and I like to travel and
Nice.
thrift shopped.
I love thrifting. Look, don't even go there. We'll go left with that. So my questions are fun and right to the point. This is going to help us tell our story today. So one word your team would use to describe you.
Um, I would say a visionary, someone
Well,
who
I can
loves.
see that. You're the creator, which is awesome. And I saw that when I was doing my research, and I was like,
Mhm,
wow, she's phenomenal. So,
thank you.
in one sentence, how would you introduce yourself to someone who's never heard of you? And I know this is the elevator pitch moment. Go.
My name is CaTyra Polland, and I turn dreams into reality.
I love it. I love it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, tell us a little bit about where your journey really began. We start our businesses, and unfortunately, sometimes it derails. Tell
Mhm.
us about your journey.
Yeah, so I started going to the library with my mom when I was really young. So I was always excited, about books, checking out the books and reading them with her, and then eventually reading them myself. And when I was in elementary school, I actually read to other students. So that
Nice.
was a big deal for me. Writing my first poem in middle school, being recognized for it in a contest, and, just moving from there, continuing to write, publishing my first book in 2017. So my life has always been tied to creation, and some type of development and creating something out of nothing or adding to something that already exists.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I love this. And I know you already kind of answered this, but I want you to go a little more in detail. So today, and like I said, we kind of start in one place and go somewhere else sometimes.
Mhm.
We always get derailed as entrepreneurs. Uh, who do you serve and what problem do you solve?
Yes, so I serve authors primarily. I work with other Black authors who are looking to tell their own stories to either use it as therapy or to educate and inspire others. So most
Mm,
of my clients write memoir. So I am there to make sure, again, that the language is consistent with who their audience is,
right.
making sure that the voice is maintained, the author's voice is maintained, but that it's clear, it's concise, it's to the point, it's entertaining when needs to be, informational when needs to be. So being able to make it cohesive while also maintaining the author's vision, but also infusing my expertise to making sure
Excellent.
it's the best it could be.
Excellent. I love that. I love that answer. I love it. I love it. I love it. So now, fast forward here, we get into business where everything's going, and then we have that oh moment. So,
Mhm.
what obstacle almost made you quit, and how did you push through it?
Yeah, so early on, I did some research about the different types of editing, and I was trying to offer all of the types of editing. But I learned, what my strong points were and what I was good at and what I enjoyed. So there was a time when I was producing some work that wasn't really my best, or it didn't bring out the best in me, and it didn't showcase, my best strengths. So I
Right.
did think about shutting down my business, but then I just did some more inventory, so to speak, and looked at the projects I worked on, identified which ones I got the best feedback on, and which ones made me feel best working on them. And then I pivoted and became more niched about what services I was offering.
Nice, nice, nice. I know. I know. I go through that every month. Every month I do something different. If your journey teaches one lesson, and I think your journey teaches a lot of lessons, but just one, what would that
hmm
lesson be?
Um, I would just say never give up on yourself. Being a business owner requires a lot of energy, time, talent, strength, treasure, money. It
Yes,
requires a
yes,
lot.
yes, yes.
Um, but that doesn't mean you should give up. You may not find people who support you in the beginning, or, even throughout the journey, but that doesn't mean that your journey is not worth pursuing. So don't give up on yourself, even when it's really hard.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. You're good at this. I wonder why. So, how do you see business success now versus when you first started?
Yeah, I don't think it's changed much. So, getting feedback from my clients. So, what do my clients have to say about the services? How did they feel about the customer service? Were they satisfied? Do they feel it was worth it? Was it valuable? Did they learn something? And getting referrals is also another way. So, I get a lot of word of mouth. So, that tells me that I'm doing something well, that people appreciate what I offer, that they
Absolutely.
see the value in it. So really feedback from others, and then, just growth in myself. Like, I know something I edited 10 years ago, it looks a lot different than now. So even
Absolutely.
doing a self evaluation, that's important, and that's a
Right.
part of success.
Excellent, excellent,
hmm
excellent. So,
hmm
my this is not my final question because I
Okay.
actually have questions on the side here for you because
Okay.
I got to dig deeper, right? So, what's next for you and how can people support you?
Yes, so I do have a master class coming up. It's called Write, Edit, Publish. I
Mm,
am collaborating with two others. Aurelia Wynn is a publisher, and Dr. Siobhan Wright is a writing
okay.
coach. So the three
Nice.
of us will have a webinar master class that's June 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you would like to sign up, you're welcome. I guess they can reach out to me, like, or
Well,
go to
you
my
can send
website.
me that information,
Okay,
and when
will
we
do.
drop the episode,
Will
it will
do.
all be there, which will be
Okay,
terrific.
awesome,
Okay.
awesome.
Great,
Yep.
great,
Okay,
great.
so I will share that with you. So you're welcome to sign up for that. As I shared, National Black Authors Day just passed. So if you didn't know about that, make sure you put it on your calendar for years to come.
Absolutely.
But yes, I have that webinar coming up. So that's what's next for me.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So make sure you send me that. We're going to get that
Okay.
loaded up to the
Okay.
description and we're
Perfect.
going to promote that as well.
Okay.
So I'm never going to jump to my personal questions here
Okay.
because I feel like I had to ask this.
hmm
Um, my first question will start from bottom up here. You talk a little bit about tough love, and I
hmm
know in my business, I have to exercise tough love, especially to people who look like me because of education, because of a lot of us work that fight or flight mode, right? We're working in survival mode. So I'm I'm a battler. I'm always at war with my wonderful clients. I love them. They know that. So talk a little bit about tough love and how you show that when it comes down to being an editor.
Yeah, so there are instances where, a client has maybe written something that's not clear. So I'll have to pose questions, and sometimes it can be uncomfortable, especially since a lot of them are writing about their own lives. So I might be asking deeper questions about that traumatic event.
Right.
So, I have to say to them, if you're putting this in a book, it's for a reason. But if you only give me one sentence about this event, then why did you put it here? So if you want people to learn from it, you can't just leave it off at that one sentence. They're going to
Right.
want to know what happened. why it happened. How did you deal with it? What was the pain? How did you overcome it? So it can be painful to dig into those traumatic experiences, but it's necessary. So either you're going to give your reader an overview or just leave it out of the book. So sometimes, people are sensitive about that.
Right,
It's,
absolutely.
it's, it's a big deal to be talking about your trauma in a book that is available to the public, for people to judge, for people to misunderstand, for people to want to know more about. People can be
Right.
nosy. So, but sometimes I get pushback like that's a little bit too personal. And of course, you don't have to include it. Maybe at some point they're like, okay, maybe I thought I was ready to put this in a book, but I'm not, which is
Right.
fine. But I'm there to give you the support that you're going to need to make sure your story comes across the way you want it to, and you're giving your readers enough detail, and not withholding, because the point of writing it is to share it. So sometimes I get pushed back there. And then, like I shared, I did a workshop on cultural editing, and we all have our biases and we have our ideologies, and sometimes that comes out in our work. So an
Absolutely.
author might be using terms that are offensive to groups that they're not
Mhm.
a part of, or even
Right.
that they are a part of. But a lot of the times it's, a white editor is writing about Black culture and they're using terms that could be offensive, or they're putting stereotypes in there. So it's my
Mhm.
job to not necessarily rewrite it, not necessarily tell them they have to take it out, but to bring it to their attention. I
Mm.
just want you to know that this statement is offensive to Black people because you make it seem like we're lazy. You might
I
not want to
love
say it.
that. I love that.
So, I'll put a comment in the margin, and then, of course, the author, they have the choice of what they want to do. They want to take it out, they want to revise it so it's not so offensive. They want my input on how to rewrite it, because I am Black.
Right.
So it's not about necessarily removing what the author says, but in that case, it's about bringing it to their attention, pointing it out so they're aware. Sometimes they're not even aware. So,
Absolutely.
I believe that is part of my job to do things like that.
I love that. I love that. Cultural awareness, so, 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 so important,
Absolutely.
especially when writing. Because, yeah, I probably can be offensive. I may need you to. So, my last question, and then I'll let you get back to work.
Mhm.
So, and this is big, and I'm sure you've heard it, and I'm sure you've experienced it. Do you feel like AI has impacted your business, and either good or bad? And if both, tell me about both.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really helped me. So sometimes I host events and I might plug in the type of event that I'm hosting and get an agenda, and then I'll revise it from there. That's been very
Okay.
helpful for me. So I would say that's a positive.
Right.
Or that's what I usually use it for. Or like if I'm like creating some type of email, maybe I've never written this email before, or maybe I've written something and I'm not happy with it. There is a resource called Quillbot. So
Mhm.
you write your own message and then you plug it in and it'll revise it for you. That might give you a fresher perspective. Maybe you like the sentencing better. Maybe you don't. But it gives you a new way of looking at what you've already written. For those of you who aren't necessarily comfortable with AI doing it all, you have that option as well. So those are two positive things for my business that have helped. It saves a lot of time. So that's what I use it for. In regards to authors, at this point, I haven't had an author say that they've used AI. One thing I'm considering is to start asking that. It's not something that I've incorporated.
Okay.
At this point, the manuscripts I've read have not come across as AI generated. I haven't
Mhm.
detected it. Um, and if it was, it seemed to be minimal. So I know that a lot of editing professionals are incorporating that AI piece, and I'm definitely open to at least asking, is there any AI in
Right.
here? Because there could be different implications. But yeah, so far I haven't encountered any issues with like authors using it.
Mhm.
But I know that, others have, and it can be problematic. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. That is so true. So I want to just thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I know we had
You're
some technical
welcome.
issues, but
Oh, yeah.
we're here now, right? We
Yes,
made it.
yes,
So I'm going to get
yes.
this taken care of and get this
Okay.
out. I'll share the links with you. Again,
Okay.
thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Please continue to do what you do. Send me an
Thank you.
email so we can promote you on all our channels as
Okay.
well.
Perfect.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, Jamila.
Thank you. And you guys, you can follow, you can actually check her website out at loveforwords.com. It's at the
Yes.
bottom of the screen. Make sure you guys support her. This is amazing, amazing, amazing work that she's doing, and continue to do what you do. Of course,
Thank
anything
you.
coming up, share it with me, and I would be more than happy to
Okay.
share.
Okay. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Have a
Thank
great
you
day,
so much for
everyone.
being here. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye bye.